I also used to be a professional poker player, but at the time, I think I just sold a car wash business that I had, and I was like trying to figure out what I was going to do. And for some reason, the concept piqued my mind, and that was the genesis of where Major League Pickleball and Duper started, but also like the beginning of my pickleball journey. Like if it's just your goal for your family to bop it around, like pickleball is probably the thing. It's super accessible and easy to pick up. If you're somebody like us who maybe likes a little bit more competition, like to me, I think my pickleball game is plateaued. And given my age, if I don't put the work in, I don't think it's going to get any better.
Which one you prefer to play the most right now, based on the current state of things for you?
I think I still prefer pickleball. Multitasking is like a fallacy that's really, really terrible for productivity. That like when you switch contexts back and forth, it takes you 15, 20 minutes, like your brain to get back. And like the cost of doing that over and over again every day.
Welcome to the Intellect, one more episode. And for those who don't know, the Intellect is, I will say, is not only an agency, it's not only a community, it's a mindset. And there's a lot of things to discuss about the way we do things, but I will frame it as a brand production company. We produce brands through amazing strategies and content. And we do communicate amazing people around our common lab, which is Pickleball, among other things. And my name is Kostas. I'm the Chief Intellect. And today I have a very good friend, an avid pickleball player, avid paddle player, aspiring entrepreneur, co-founder of MLP and Duper. And his name is Brooks Wiley. Brooks, thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you, Kostas.
Yes. We had a really good experience with Brooks. We play paddle, and I thought we were going to go all the way. And somehow I think that's the beautiful thing about both paddle and pickleball, especially pickleball. It's so mental. It looks so easy as a game, but it's so mental. Like you lose like an easy point, it goes to the net, and it gets to your head so much that you feel like you have to go through your darkness and your mental symptoms and obstacles. Do you get that?
Yeah, of course. Momentum is a massive part of both pickleball and paddle too, and especially pickleball. It just happens. You take off one point and try and do some fancy shot, and then like all of a sudden you're 4 points rip off the other team.
Yeah, the fancy shots. I'm guilty of the fancy shots. An ATP with a backhand, which you can just dink it, and you just want to do the extra thing. Anyway, Brooks, we have at the Intellect, we have a great admiration for your accomplishments, and we know today you're gonna have some really nice tactical advice for our audience and for our friends. And as you know, on the Intellect, we try to get together people who have like good advices to share with other people, not only pro players, not only facility owners, but also people like you who are, I would say, behind the scenes, orchestrating amazing thing about the industry. So first things first, I would like to know, how did you get into pickleball?
Yeah, this is a pretty interesting story. 2018 or so, I also used to be a professional poker player, and then like back in from 2008 to 2012, and then I played in a home poker game here in Austin. And my friend who was the dealer was just talking, just randomly talking as the game is going on in between hands or something. And he said, and I'd never heard of pickleball before. He said, yeah, there's this guy who lives here in Austin who's this hedge fund guy who's been super successful. Everything he does turns to gold. And there's a facility in Kansas City called Chicken and Pickle. It's this concept of this sport and a restaurant. They have served chicken sandwiches and beer and like sports bar and this sport called pickleball. And like, what is, like, I've never heard of this. And I've played sports since I was, before I could walk. But at the time, I think I just sold a car wash business that I had, and I was like trying to figure out what I was going to do. And for some reason, the concept piqued my mind, and I was like, this sounds like something that's like, after he discussed about what pickleball was, like that it's this tennis hybrid, and something about that piqued my mind. And so I was also like lacking in doing any sort of physical activity for a bit. I was working too much. So I was like, oh yeah, this looks cool. So I looked it up online, looked up some YouTube videos, went and bought a paddle like 2 days, and found I lived in Cedar Park, and there was open play, I think like 3 days a week at the Cedar Park Rec Center. And it was like 9 to 11 or 9 to 12 or something like that. So bought a paddle, went to the Cedar Park Rec Center, like as a beginner, and instantly fell in love. Was playing 5 days a week or so. Yeah, like 3 to 5 days a week.
Wow.
Yeah, and then just started, getting better, meeting new friends, getting invited to more advanced groups or whatever. And then later, 2 years or a year and a half or so down the line, through meeting other parts of the people in the pickleball community, like Amy Yarborough and my friend Jaron, ended up meeting Steve Kuhn. And, Steve was also the founder of Major League Pickleball and Duper. And so became friends with him, started playing pickleball. And that was the genesis of where Major League Pickleball and Duper started, but also the beginning of my pickleball journey.
Wow. So you didn't just became a player. You actually become a player in the world of pickleball in terms of actually how the game is evolving outside the courts. So please tell me about Duper. It's a thing. I mean, have people fighting over the ratings about. It's so important that I didn't know how important it is, but I think it's a genius way actually to engage with a community and players. So tell me more about Duper. What was I mean, you were there since the beginning, so I would like to know more about Duper, the concept and the project.
Yeah, I've always had kind of an interest in the analytics and statistical part of it. And I was always trying to get Steve. I wanted to do take video, tag it, annotate it, and then use those analytics to help people get better. And then Steve had the idea of, let me back up. At the time, the only rating system was kind of owned this is 2019, 2020. The only rating system in pickleball was done by USA Pickleball at the time. And it was our opinion that it was just not accurate. Especially at the time, there were only 12 or 15 players that were above a 6.0 rating, including Ben and Irina. And we just thought that there was a better way to do it and a more technological way to do it. And similar to what UTR had done in tennis, which is take the UTA system, put it in a more sophisticated technology and app. And so that's kind of where the genesis of it came from. Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice. Yeah, I think it's necessary in terms of accuracy. I think it's important for the people. So it builds confidence also to the product. It builds confidence to the people who are using it. So I think accuracy is very important as an element of building something. And when it comes now to the organizations that run pickleball, I mean, Major League Pickleball came after. It's pretty new, right? It's pretty
started in late 2021.
Yeah, and introduced an entirely new system. And I guess as a player, and from what I understand from the semantics, without having the whole depth, it's to make it even a little bit more engaging and interesting to the world that don't know about pickleball. I think the whole structure of MLP, how actually you take points and all the semantics, I think they're very interesting as concepts. So tell me more about Major League Pickleball, about the conception and the evolution of it.
Yeah, again, Steve Kuhn's original idea. We had already started Duper. He had the vision to do this team concept, and I think an important part of what differentiates Major League Pickleball from the tour, the PPA, is that it's based in. I have a Texas Longhorn logo, right? I went to the University of Texas. I still, was 5 minutes ago texting with my son about who's getting drafted from UT. Follow all of that. Even high school football. I went to Westlake High School where Drew Brees and Nick Foles. And so there's a tribal aspect to the local team part of competition, whether that's soccer / football or baseball or what have you. And so Steve's idea, I think, was to take that to pickleball and eventually grow this to where the people in Austin have an affiliation and a love for the Texas Ranchers, and the people in Columbus have that for the Columbus Sliders or the Orlando Squeeze or what have you. So build these teams and build the communities around those teams.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, very important. Both projects are important, and knowing that you were a part of it, that's even more engaging for us and interesting. But what are you actually doing right now?
I took probably a little bit too much time off, but the journey for Duper and Major League Pickleball was 3 years of working, 70 hours a week and going from one opportunity or one crisis to another, and it was just a little bit too much for me, and health and family and some other things took a little bit of a backseat. So I've taken some time off, have done some consulting, help your previous guest, Jay Lerner, a little bit with some events and sponsorships, advising a local paddle company who's trying to raise money, and then working on like a larger term project in pickleball that I want to, raise money for.
Very nice, very nice. So you're involved in projects nonstop, and I think I pretty much asked, since you brought up Jay, I asked him about if there is future in the hybrid world that we live in right now, because we are an example of it. We play both pickleball and paddle, and there's a rise of a hybrid player right now that they go from pickleball to paddle, and they maintain both games in their lifestyle. But do you think? I mean, I know Austin is the capital of pickleball, but do you think there is space and an opportunity to build hybrid facilities for both paddle and pickleball? Will that be a good way to bring both sports together, or people that they like the both to introduce to each other, to each sport? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I definitely think it's definitely not a competition. I think they're additive to each other. I mean, I know like myself personally, you, Gabby, many people Jay keeps threatening to put a paddle court on next to the pickleball courts at Urban, and we would all desperately love that.
That would be great.
And I know, I mean, again, I was listening to a pitch this week for a local, for a company who's building indoor paddle courts, and they're starting off with just paddle. And they think because the indoor aspect of it is super important. But to answer your question, yeah, I think like, and I think it can be the same for tennis as well. They're either one is the gateway to the other, just depending on what somebody's goals are. Like if it's just your goal for your family to bop it around, like pickleball is probably the thing. It's super accessible and easy to pick up. If you're somebody like us who maybe likes a little bit more competition, like to me, I think my pickleball game is plateaued. And given my age, if I don't put the work in, I don't think it's going to get any better. But like I think I can play more paddle without practicing, or maybe a little bit of lessons, I can get better. So yeah, to go back and answer your question, I think they're additive, and I think they're all three, tennis, pickleball, paddle, gateways to each other, and just builds the entire community.
A racket club, a very advanced racket club. So talking about the rise of those sports, pickleball and paddle, I'm going to make this question that I make to everybody since we're hybrid. Which one you prefer to play the most right now, based on the current state of things for you?
I think I still prefer pickleball.
Okay.
It's like 60-40, something like
60-40,
that.
60-40, yeah? Yeah, I would say 60-40 is a good number. Yeah.
Paddles, when you get a good group of people together, I think paddle's better exercise, especially in a shorter amount of time. Like in 90 minutes, if we play like really good games in 90 minutes, I'm done. Like I can't play anymore.
Yeah.
Where like I think pickleball, even in the heat, you can play 3 or 4 hours and it's okay. But But again, I think, I don't know. Yeah. It's close.
Yeah, it's close. It will get to 50-50 eventually, I think. I mean, because we all play pickleball and paddle, so we all can coordinate stuff, I think it's a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle now. Even like paddle or pickleball. And since we don't have restrictions to play, that's amazing, right? Say somebody invites you for paddle, say, yeah, I'm down. Pickleball, I'm down. It's a new lifestyle. Those paddles, both rackets, are the new lifestyle.
Yeah.
So based on what we have discussed so far about your participation in some really big projects, both in pickleball and growing some also consulting and advising roles in paddle, I would like to ask about what I ask everybody, about your method, about the way you approach things. Because for us on the Intellect, what we're actually teaching is 3 things: the brand building, the method, how we make a method repeatable and scalable, and how we create products based on those two. And we would like to learn more from professionals like you about, some sense of your secret sauce. I mean, what's the method behind? I mean, do you do some research? Do you actually, what are the step-by-step that you follow systemically to all of your ventures?
That's a big question. I think if you're starting out, especially startups, things like Duper and Major League Pickleball, like ruthless prioritization is super important. Like on a day-to-day basis, like what are like the 2 things or 3 things that I need to get done today or that are the most important? Because it's super easy to put out fires and act busy and feel busy and LARP being busy when like there's really like 1 or 2 things that you should be working on right now.
So prioritization is very important, So that comes with a good time management and project management, if I may say.
And to be honest, I'm terrible at time management. I procrastinate like crazy. So like, yeah, if nothing else, is a reminder to myself that like, that's why I think like, the average person, or even like better than average people, like you probably have like 3 or 4 hours of good productivity a day, including thoughts. And so like, also I think the concept of, juggling, multitasking is like a fallacy that's really, really terrible for productivity. That like when you switch contexts back and forth between like you're thinking about pickleball business and then somebody texts you and it's about paddle and you're like, it takes you 15, 20 minutes, like your brain to get back. And like the cost of doing that over and over again every day is way more significant than I think most people realize.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, we've seen a lot of businesses around pickleball and lately on paddle, and I think there's a good amount of great businesses growing around the ecosystem of pickleball and paddle. Have you seen something extremely interesting as a trend that we can have our eyes on, both in pickleball paddle or just pickleball paddle? Something, I don't know, is it technological advancement you have seen, or something new that we can?
I don't know. I just think I'm super bullish on and super proud to see the international growth. I think also maybe can't point to anything specific, but just like my friend Deckel and Bar, professional player, and Ben Johns and Hannah Johns, they have a pickleball getaways, and so like seeing companies like that put together like international travel to go to Costa Rica or Croatia or Asia or whatever, like that I think also helps just expand the international community.
Yeah. And we have this discussion with Jack, who's 25 years old, I think. He's
just turned 21.
21?
Yesterday. Oh
my God.
Like in the next couple of days, I think he turns 21.
I was so off. 21 years old. And we were talking actually about his, as a pro player, which is interesting, he wants to see about the future. And, most of the young people, they don't really see the future. They have like a short-term span. But he was actually talking about building his own business around what he knows and what his skills, and I admire that. And I think pro players or people who are involved in pickleball and paddle, or I mean, you mentioned Hannah, she's also a guest next week, they made meaningful businesses around the connecting tissue, which is the pickleball, which I think is very smart. And I think it's a unique way to approach your life moving forward if you really love to play pickleball, and if you think you can offer something as additional value in this world, to make a facility or to make a product that helps other people. So to build a product that expands it internationally, I think that's a great trend to observe. How many people within the pickleball community, they're building good products. I don't know about the people coming outside the pickleball, if they get it, because if you don't play pickleball, if you don't connect with the people in the point that we connect, it will be difficult to see it just as a business. Do you agree with that?
I completely agree with that. And I think one of my former mentors when I was at Major League Pickleball and colleagues used to call me like, the pickleball expert. And she came from outside. She came from tennis and didn't really play pickleball. So I think it's important to the pro product to I've been involved in amateur pickleball tournaments as a consumer where the people didn't really understand like the nuances and sort of basic rules and fundamental rules about how a tournament runs and like how much time do you allocate for a match, things like that. And if you don't understand it and you're just coming at it from a financial incentives or like what can I extract from this, I think the people quickly see that and see through that facade, and it becomes fake and inauthentic sometimes. Yeah.
And I think since you use the word authenticity is very important anything you do, because otherwise the people will see through eventually if you keep using anything else than authenticity. I think one thing I learned on Pickleball, tell me if you agree, is like everybody that I met on Pickleball, it's good people. I don't know how to explain this, but they all care about connecting. And that's something with Jay we talk about, that paddle socialization versus pickleball socialization is different. In pickleball, there's the social element is a little bit stronger than paddle. Do you agree with that?
I don't know that I don't know the answer to that. I think I can speak to myself personally in like this social aspect of pickleball that, I've met people over the last 5 years who are now my friends that I go have a coffee with or they come to my kid's birthday, or we go travel somewhere, or we go to EDM shows or concerts or whatever. Yeah. And it has nothing to do with pickleball, but they are my pickleball friends or whatever. Yeah. And like when sometimes the groups that we play with, regularly we have a, group chat with 15 people, and like, are there other players that might be good enough to play with us? Sure. But like, if you don't vibe with the group, or like you're an asshole or something like that, then like we tend to gravitate around that social aspect and the friend aspect, even a little bit more than just like the, who's a better player. Yeah. But to go back to the paddle question, I think paddle's got a strong community as well. And I think that's a testament to why it's risen so much in Europe and South America. Are there different aspects of those communities? Absolutely. But I think like, I don't want to put down paddle because I think it's a strong community too.
Yeah. If I compare it, I think it's growing fast too. Yeah. So both the social aspects of both sports are very strong. I want to talk about values. We mentioned the authenticity, and it's very important for me to, when I consult or teach or talk about brands and the ecosystems of business, how important are the values? Have you defined any values from your end which help you to grow within your business journey?
There's a guy named Naval Ravikant who's like a very famous. He was one of the original co-founders of Angels List, and considered by a lot of people to be like a modern day like philosopher and thinker. And I love a lot of his. I've read a lot of his stuff, and he had a quote that said, he wants to do long-term things with long-term people, and that's like something that I, especially given my experience, have come to value. That's really, really important to me. Also, I think like just, I don't know what the value is, maybe efficiency or intelligent effort, and is like this goes back to the prioritization, and probably seeing on my pickleball game as well. I'm 52 years old and not so fast anymore, and not as athletically talented as somebody like Jack. So like trying to play a little bit smarter than other people, both on the pickleball court and in business too. Just, play smarter, not harder.
Right. Yeah, that's great. I mean, efficiency, the long term, it's actually an umbrella for a lot of values, about building trust, be honest, and you cannot integrity. You cannot go further if you're not true to each other, if you make partnerships or collaboration. So yeah, I agree to all of those. So if I'm gonna try to do some decoding of what I learned today from Brooks, is that I take the prioritization very seriously because I just put everything on the same climax and I'll just go and I lose my focus, But I think prioritization based on the current context of things, it's very important. And I like your long-term vision when you work with people or projects, that, as I'd say, is an umbrella for many other values. I also really appreciate that you're one of the, safely to say, one of the pioneers with, your involvement in amazing projects like the Duper or the Major League Pickleball. And if I may ask on the general, what was, you were a poker player, you had a car wash company, you've been around the block of business for a while, so definitely a very aspiring entrepreneur. But what would be the most successful project from your end all those years that you're very proud of, if you can choose one?
Actually, raising a pretty badass 14-year-old son. I think that's...
Yeah, someone who's expecting, I understand the part of that. So yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, congrats.
Thank you. So that's amazing. I mean, that those are values right there, right? Family. So yeah. Okay, perfect. So to the last part of the interview that we're doing with our friends here, we have like 3 questions to light up the business and the brands and everything. So it's going more on their personal lifestyle to understand more about you and our guests, So I'm going to ask you 3 questions. And the rules of the game is you don't think about it. You just tell me.
I don't know if I can do that, but I'll try.
Let's see. I'm going to push you. So
that's my brand, is thinking about it.
Favorite food?
Sushi.
Sushi. That's the first sushi we have, huh?
Sushi / seafood, but sushi.
Okay, seafood. Okay. What's your hype pump song, if you want to?
I used to also race go-karts competitively about 10 years ago in California, and before we would have qualifying, and then after qualifying you have the main race, and the Eminem song, which is it's a little bit of a meme, or probably a lot of people's, but why am I thinking now I can't.
Eminem,
Lose Yourself.
yes,
There you go.
Lose Yourself,
Yeah.
Who else said about the Eminem Lose Yourself? I think Jack.
Did Jack? That's hilarious.
There you go.
We've never had that conversation together.
There you go. We're finding more connection with Jack and Brooks. And the last question is this. If you have to choose one person from this world history, it doesn't matter if he's alive or she's alive or dead, who would you pick to go for dinner?
Alexander Hamilton.
Oh, wow. That's elaborate. How come? Why?
Just
Please.
Again, like reading his thoughts on, arguably one of the founding fathers, even though he's not in with George Washington or those guys, but was also, I think, kind of one of the guys behind the guys, or that was executing the vision of America, and just love some of his thoughts and philosophies.
I love it. Well, I'm gonna go, since you said about Hamilton, because I like Hamilton. Let's close with this. What's your vision for, let's say, pickleball? Let's center down. What's your vision as Brooks for?
I mean, I think it's, again, this is like maybe pretty obvious, but I think it's just gonna super bullish on the amateur portion of it and the continued community building. I think it's obviously currently, I think somebody put out, I don't know if it was Duper or Yola put out, stats about it's continuing to explode in Asia. So I think Vietnam, specifically China, I think you'll just continue to see, it may not grow at this 45%, or 45% rate, but I think it will just continue to grow to, as Steve used to say, flip tennis and become like the largest participatory sport in the United States and in the world. So, the pro game, again, hope that it makes it as a pro game. It's to be determined, and they have a lot of obstacles in front of them in terms of like making that a viable TV product and thing. But I hope that happens, but just super bullish that it continues to grow from an amateur, across the world.
Yeah, and I think it will. Look in the videos with Ben Jones being in Asia and saw how many people were there. It was crazy. I don't really want the Chinese to get on the game because they're so good on ping pong, and I know they're going to become very good on pickleball. So there's no luck, at least for me, to compete anymore.
Even Lan Yang, who's local pickleball pro who just moved here and plays with Jack a lot, and I think he just went to a tournament in Taiwan or China, and he said and he's like, if you asked even a bunch of people in pickleball who knew who Lan Yang is, to be honest, I love Lin, but he's a good player, but he's an up and coming player, so nobody knows who he is. But he went and played in this tournament in China and did really well, and he said he had to like 45 minutes after the match. I think they won gold or right? Did they win? They won first in the event. And he's like, I literally couldn't even get to my water because it was like picture after picture after picture after picture. And that's also like one of the craziest events that we ever had at MLP that was like a turning point for me is Mesa 2023, I think, was the first time I ever like just the atmosphere was insane on the court and crazy match. And then like after the match, it was like Tyson McGuffin and Anna Bright or whatever, like trying to get them off the court for the next match. And it was like just being mobbed by kids for like getting interviews and stuff like that.
Oh,
so
wow.
it's, like from there 2 years ago to now, like Len being in China and he said for like 30 or 45 minutes, he couldn't do anything other than just continue to take pictures with him because he was like a legitimate celebrity.
I think it's going to pick up globally. Inevitably, it's going to happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So, Brooks, if somebody wants to reach out to you, maybe for a business collaboration or advice or consulting, where can they find you?
LinkedIn, I guess, or Instagram at Orange Blood.
Orange Blood. All right. Well, that was our friend Brooks Wiley, an aspiring entrepreneur, creator of many, many projects, and good inspiration for the Intellect. Brooks, thank you so much for being here today with us.
Thank you, Costas.
Again, thank you.
See you on the paddle court.
Yeah. Thank you.